Okay, so before I jump into the actual fight, this was from the first test fight I did with the build, and something I noticed that I just wanted to point out is that it felt like each time I used the partner skill for Gobfin, because I've been talking a lot about aggro and which pal or player Bjorn decides to target. So you can see there I use the Angry Shark partner skill, and Bjorn turns around and targets the Gobfin, which seemed a little bit odd to me, considering I'm using 5 Gobfins in this build. All of them have Vanguard. There's Vampiric on the Gobfin. It should not be doing enough damage to pull aggro away from me. So I did a little bit of testing, not a whole lot, and it seems like when I use these active partner skills, at least some of them, the boss seems to just turn around and aggro the pal for whatever reason, which would explain like why some of these. I've always been thinking that the damage is just so high when I've been using stuff like Libero, Bushi, stuff like that. And often it leads to that pal just dying. So you can see that Bjorn is just turning around and focusing Gobfin even though I'm dealing a lot more damage than the Gobfin. So that's something to consider when using stuff like Libero, Bushi, even Cognito, Incineram, like all those pals. If that is like a game mechanic, it means that you use the partner skill, they take aggro, then you need to withdraw dodge, and when you withdraw dodge and send a pal out, it usually leads to them taking aggro for some reason again. It just becomes like a cycle of withdraw dodging, I guess. So I didn't have a whole lot of footage to go through, so I just went with a little bit of Libero testing I had done. And you can just see I'm speeding it up now because this is really more about the Gobfin build, but this was just something I thought was pretty interesting. You can see how much I'm withdraw dodging. I just thought that it was due to Libero's damage. But if it is that like you use the partner skill, she takes aggro, then you withdraw dodge, she takes aggro again. Just leads to a lot of withdraw dodging. You can see how much I'm like withdrawing and sending it out. Hopefully I didn't speed it up too much, but I didn't want to make this video like too much about that aggro thing. But just something to keep in mind. So for the real attempt now, I just ignored the partner skill. A bit of a shame. I was hoping it would add like a little bit of an interesting mechanic to the fight, but just didn't feel worth it. Each time in the test fights that I used the partner skill, it just became a like forever loop of withdraw dodging the Gobfin, which seemed very much not worth it when you really like doing this build. It's all about player damage. You really just want to be shooting missiles, not withdraw dodging the Gobfin. The Gobfin doesn't do like any damage really. I mean, I guess it does some damage, but I think the stats on the Gobfin is like very low percentile pal kinda. I'm not sure how it compares to some of the other like top picks. I guess it would have like almost half the attack stat of something like a Libero. So it's not doing a whole lot. It's mainly there for the partner skill, which gives you 20% attack power, and then Vanguard on top of that. And then I didn't even, like, even if the Gobfin is not taking any aggro, I went Vampiric. You could probably switch Vampiric for Demon God, Musclehead, whatever, really. It's more if it takes accidental damage, which it does do sometimes. It will wander into a Glacial Impact, or like walk into a double Blizzard Spike. Something, I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the other videos, but I spend a lot of time, or not time really, but I spend like a lot of brain power, I guess, trying to manage like how far away I am from my pal. I don't want to drag a Hydra Laser into the pal. I don't want to be close enough to the pal that it gets hit by the area of effect from like Glacial Impact. So it is something like, you see, I'm running in circles a lot, and then I tend to try to change direction when I realize that I'm getting too close to my pal. So that's something to keep in mind, because like if you get targeted by Glacial Impact and the pal is within range and you're not really quick enough to withdraw dodge, like here he's using Glacial Impact, Gobfin is far away, it's fine. Otherwise I would have to like, do I dodge or do I let the Gobfin get hit and or do I like withdraw dodge the Gobfin and get hit myself? And then you get frozen, you get hit by the secondary effect of the Glacial Impact. Something else with these bubbles, they block missiles. I try to bend the missiles kinda around the bubbles. Just some tips and tricks here from the Pal Professor, I guess. But overall, the damage doesn't seem to be great. I think this is around the time really where the Vixen build was defeating the boss. I can't remember exactly what timing it was, but Vixen seemed to be better. You probably could have used Gobfin Ignis. I just didn't want to use Gobfin Ignis just in case something like that happened, where tanks like a splash or wall splash or something. Aqua burst, but Gobfin Ignis would be better for this. It would be dealing, I guess, not 20% more damage since I'm using Airblade as well, but it would be dealing a bit more damage. Just 20% more with Flame Funnel and Flare Storm. I've been using, I think I've pretty much settled for using Flare Storm, Flame Funnel, and Airblade. I'm not sure, I do need to do like a DPS test of the best skills against Bjorn, I think. These are just going by feel. Like, I'm pretty sure Flame Funnel is the best one. Then I'm a little bit like, if Airblade is better than Flame Wall, or if Flare Storm is better than Flame Wall. And then a little bit with like, if you're using a Fire Pal, I guess you get 20% more attack power on those. Maybe you should even consider giving your Fire Pals like Seed Mine or something, Circle Vine, Spine Vine, like I did with the Vixen. It just scales incredibly well. First you get like 50% more damage from being super effective. Then you get 50% more damage from headshots. If you manage to hit like a headshot, the critical strike is 50%. And then you get 100% more damage from the root effect if you're dealing fire damage. And they all stack, they don't stack additively, so they stack up to, I think it was 4.5 times more damage instead of just being like 3 times more damage. So they stack incredibly well, which is why the Vixen build was just so good. I don't think I really mentioned the math behind it when I was doing the Vixen build. But yeah, so you get like 1.5 times 1.5 times 2, I guess, when you're doing the Vixen build and the boss is rooted and you hit a headshot. Same thing if you're using like Ragnarok to farm for stallions. It's really useful if you have like, you fly in on Ragnarok, pop Circle Vine, and shoot like a couple of rockets, dealing 4.5 times more damage. Makes it a little bit easier to farm them. But you can see the time right here, and that's something else as well. You see it becomes cold now. I'm using the cold resistant plasteel armor over my Hexlite armor. And at night time, you start freezing. So how did it stack up? Where's Gobfin? Right there in the middle, 280 seconds to defeat the boss. So it's up there with like Celestia. It was a little bit worse than I expected it to be. I thought it would be better. But I guess it's now with Pal's scaling so incredibly well with the new attack food, and you got the plus 60 souls and everything, that Pals are just worth a little bit more now. So Gobfin's pretty terrible stats just don't match up for the added like 20% attack that it gives. So you can see the attack stat isn't great. I think most of the other Pals reached like 3,000 or 4,000. You don't need to think about defense and health, I guess. So, but overall, it was a decent Pal. Probably not the best, but thanks for watching.